also had no reaction whatsoever. It just doesn't. There was bombs going off, and there was a lot of gunshots, and it was a dangerous area where I have been for the last 2 months. It was quite dangerous to be there, and I wasn't allowed to walk. And a lot of the Somalis who lived there were afraid, and they locked themselves inside of their apartment buildings. It was a dangerous place to be, but it never bothered me emotionally. And even in the refugee camps I've worked at in the past, or different desperate places I've worked, it never really bothers me. But what does is when I like on 9/11, when you saw the bodies coming down, jumping out, people were infected, it didn't bother me. But what gets me every time is watching a fireman run into the building. Or when I see someone helping those situations, it just chokes me up. It's as if my empathy button was wired on the other side. I don't care. I'm suited to see awfulness. It doesn't bother my brain. What passionately drives me is watching solutions, and it just chokes me up and makes me crazy inside. And the fact that I can use an art form to do that suggests that any of us, whatever skill we have, can be used to educate or to do something greater. But as I said, I was in Karen, and I went to this orphanage with kids with AIDS, and I see these kids and they're just so sick, and it just doesn't bug me. It just doesn't. I'm okay. I can handle this. I can do the work. I'm not emotionally crippled by what I'm seeing. And then we did our show, and during the show, it was an hour-long puppet show that we put together with some juggling and some magic. And I watched these kids, and they were just alive with smiles. They were just beaming. And of course, that killed me. It was like, this is what is so hard to watch. They have this relief for like this 1 hour, And of course, our what we were teaching was that each and every one of you are valuable. Each and every one of you are special, and you're born the way you are, and you are the way you are for a purpose, and that you have value no matter who you are. And it's sort of the thing that's sort of passé in the U.S. We don't want to hear any more of this rah, I'm the best, sort of amplifying all the kids to be better than in their heads than what they really are. There's a problem with that in the USA, but not with kids in Kenya who are dying of AIDS. This is something they need to hear for certain. And I went into the administrator's office afterwards, and I said, let me just ask you a few questions. He goes, well, before you do, let me tell you, I've been teaching through an interpreter for the priest here for the last month and a half on this subject of their inherent value and how special these kids are and how important they are to the world and that they matter to society. And today is the first day a child has ran into my office 20 minutes afterwards and told me all the things that you taught them. They remembered it in a different way today. Even though I've been doing this for a month and a half, your 1 hour presentation has done something in their minds where it's clicking, it's making sense. And I was like, yes, finally, right before I'm leaving, I have confirmation that I'm on the right track and this really can work. And so that's my project. I've done all the research, and I've done all the things necessary to know the rights and wrongs and what has to be said and how it has to be recorded, all these sort of things. But now I'm on to phase 2. I'm here in the United States to do fundraising to do the project. But I'd like to take this opportunity at this pop-up TEDx to remind people that education is exciting if you make it exciting, and can be so much more effective when it involves the arts. We're sort of ingrained in this idea that it has to be through a book or through a lecture. And evidence suggests that when it comes to extracurricular concepts, maybe not math or social studies, maybe not science quite as much, when it comes to other topics that people need to learn about, the performance arts, the visual arts, are not something that you need to think is being secondary, but can actually be a primary way. And for anyone here who feels like you have a purpose in the world but you don't quite know where it fits, try jumping in with 2 feet to Kenya and see if it fits, because it totally did for me. Now, that's not real advice, but it is my personal thing. So I don't know exactly how to wrap it up, except to say thank you for the opportunity and to inspire everyone that maybe you are wired for a very specific purpose, and I encourage you to use that purpose for education and educating people who need it. The end.